Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So today I want to talk to you guys about the story of the Prophet's journey to Taif. So before we go into talking about what the journey was, we're going to talk about the situation the Muslims were in before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ took his journey to Taif. At the age of 40, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had his divine revelation, which is the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after 3 years, he was commanded to share this message and preach to those who are very close to him, so his friends and family. Then his friends and family would share this message with their close friends and family. And this is how the Muslims started meeting each other secretly, and they had a little small group. Afterwards, the Prophet Muhammad was commanded to take this message to the public. And when he took this message to the public, there was a very strong response to his message, because it contradicted the beliefs of the non-Muslims, and they did not like how it contradicted them. And they did not want to believe that their fundamentals, core beliefs were incorrect. So there was a strong pushback, and they started arguments and mocking and humiliating and belittling, and it would go as far as violence. The non-Muslims started persecuting and torturing the Muslims. They would torture them so much. The Sahabas were tortured in public. They were being dragged around the streets of Mecca and being whipped. Even though Sahabas were tortured so much, they did not give up on Islam. They hated the Muslims even more, since they would not give up on their religion. It made them so angry, and they wanted to do so much more than persecute him. They started making plans to assassinate our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Finally, it reached the point where they started to do boycott. They started to separate them and annihilate them from the community. Anyone who supported the Muslims or tried to help them, people would also boycott them. And this boycott lasted for 3 years. It wasn't just any boycott. These years were very difficult for our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The people during the boycott had no food. It has been said that the people would hear the cries of the babies at night, and there were so many babies that were killed and so many kids that were buried because of malnourishment, sicknesses, and diseases, and no one could help them. After the boycott ended, after some time, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's wife Khadija radiallahu anh passed away. Khadija radiallahu anh was the one who supported him through the hard times. She was the one who took care of him, and she was the first one to believe in Islam. She was his life partner. She was the love of his life. After some time, Abu Talib also passed away. Abu Talib was the uncle of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He wasn't just his uncle, he was the one who raised him. He was like a father to him. He took care of him after his grandfather died. So after age of 8, Abu Talib started taking care of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So imagine what our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is going through. He lost two most beloved people in his life, his wife and his uncle, who was just like his father to him. Not only that, he was watching his companions and his beloved friends and family were being tortured, and so many of them were also martyred. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ started looking for opportunities outside of Mecca. He wanted to explore the opportunities in places outside the Mecca. So one of the biggest places around Mecca was Taif. Taif had a great number of people, and they were strong, and they were like a match for the Quraysh tribe. Taif had many major tribes in their town. Taif, the town, had a lot of great major tribes. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ decided to go to the town of Taif. So he was past the age of 50. Muhammad ﷺ decided to travel to Taif. He didn't have any fancy carriage or anything to take him. He walked there by foot, and it took him 4 days to reach Taif. He went with his adopted son Zayd bin Harith radiallahu anh. And when he reached Taif, he thought very strategically. So first he went to the leaders and spoke to them. 3 sons of a great leader of Taif, and Prophet Muhammad ﷺ spoke directly with them. Spoke to him in a very dismissive and insulting and rude manner. So the first leader just mocked Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he just mocked him and said, "Hey, Allah has made you a prophet?" And the other one was, "Could Allah not make someone better than you as a prophet? Why does it have to be you?" And the third one was just like, "I don't even want to talk to you. If you in fact are a prophet, then it's just inviting trouble. And if you only pretend to be one, why should I even talk to an imposter?" So they were very, very rude to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam left calmly. He was really hoping to win them over and get them to accept Islam. However, they were very rude. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam then turned to the people of Taif. He talked to them nicely, but the people just turned away and they did not and would not listen to him. They were very, very rude to him. He stayed there for 10 days. On the 10th day, they sent a couple of representatives to tell him that he has to leave now. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam realized that further efforts were in vain. So he decided to leave the town. So the people of Taif didn't want to leave him in peace, and they wanted to do something more so he would never come back and know that he's not welcomed here. So they gathered thugs and robbers and all those people around, and they were all lined up outside the road leaving Taif. So the people that were lined up, they gathered rocks and stones, and when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came, they started throwing at him. So every time he lifted his foot, they would throw rocks at him, and every time he put them back, they would throw rocks at him. So they would come non-stop. So they didn't know how to try to protect Prophet Muhammad ﷺ from the rocks. And one of the rocks hit his head, and he was greatly injured. Most of the people tried to target Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's foot, so that he would not be able to walk. So he would not be able to walk peacefully outside. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not say anything. He did not pick up a rock and throw it back at him. He just walked faster and faster and faster. And the faster he walked, and the faster people would throw rocks at him. And this happened for about 3 miles out of the town. So for 1 hour, constantly people are throwing rocks at it. So imagine walking down the street and after every couple of seconds, people are throwing rocks at you. So imagine what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was feeling at that time. His whole body was injured, his feet were injured. It has been said that the shoes he was wearing, the leather sandals he was wearing, they were all soaked in red. His shoes were all red. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ sat down finally after 3 miles of this torture. He sat down in one garden and he raised his hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He made a dua, and his dua was so powerful that it shook up the heavens and the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately sent down angel Jawairia to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the angel Jawairia said, Allah knows all that has passed between you and these people. He has deputed an angel in charge of the mountains to be at your command. And then the angel came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, O Prophet of Allah, I am at your service. If you wish, I can cause the mountains overlooking this town on both sides to collide with each other, so that all the people within would be crushed to death, or you may suggest any other punishment for them. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not want the people to be punished. He was so merciful, and he said, even if those people do not accept Islam, I do hope from Allah that there will be persons from among their progeny who would worship Allah and serve His cause. If we were at His place, we would tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would tell the angels to crush these people. Imagine the torture that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went through, and even though he went through all that, he still didn't. He was so merciful that he didn't even curse them or take any revenge for them, even though he has a full opportunity to do so. So nowadays, when people talk bad to us or say something bad, we get so mad at them and angry and start fighting. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was so merciful that he overlooked them and made dua and hoped that there would be people that would accept Islam in the future. People also face so many hardships in our lives. And this is an example. When there's so much hardships in our life, what we're supposed to do is go back to Allah, call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so He would help us. Because when you call out to Allah, you feel this peace in your heart, this tranquility, this serenity. All the frustration and every anger and every bad emotion just washes away, and it fills you up with love and peace. And this is why whenever we're going through something bad, we should go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching us what to do, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our perfect example of what we should do when we're facing hardships.